Yesterday down in Selma, the president made an impassioned plea to Congress to restore the Voting Rights Act. Will you support that?
Well, the Voting Rights Act is still intact. It prevents discrimination in the voting behavior all across America based on race. The Supreme Court took out a portion of it. We're taking a look at that. Certainly it was an important occasion. Bob, just interestingly enough, I was a young man in 1965 visiting one of my senators from Kentucky, and he took me over to the rotunda, and I actually saw Lyndon Johnson sign the Voting Rights Act, and that was, of course, 4 or 5 months after Bloody Sunday. It has been an extraordinarily important piece of legislation. It prevents discrimination in voting on the basis of race all over America, and we all revere the changes that have been brought in our country as a result of this important legislation.
Let me just ask you one final question here, and that is, now that you are the majority leader in the Senate, do you feel you are obligated to work with the president and with the White House to get things done?
Well, of course. And I think there's some areas that I'm pretty optimistic about. I think we're going to be able to make progress on trade. I think we're going to be able to make progress on cybersecurity. You know, when the American people elect divided government, they're not saying they don't want anything done. They're saying, we want you guys on each side to look for things that you can agree on to make progress for the country, and that's always my first choice.
Quick question. Treasury Secretary Lew sent a letter to Congress last week saying the debt limit will reach the ceiling Monday. Are Republicans going to vote to lift the debt ceiling?
Well, the debt ceiling will be handled over a period of months. The Secretary of the Treasury has a number of what we call tools in his toolbox. I made it very clear after the November election, we're certainly not going to shut down the government or default on the national debt. We'll figure some way to handle that, and hopefully it might carry some other important legislation that we can agree on in connection with it.
All right. Mr. Majority Leader, thank you so much for giving us your first interview as Majority Leader. Pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Bob.
We'll be back with more on those Clinton emails in just a minute.